is sort of how I frame it to them. So I started this program in 2014 after going to the Greater Good Science Center symposium. They had a week-long symposium for teachers where they taught social and emotional learning. And at that symposium, Mindful Schools, which is a great online resource for anyone who's really interested in getting even more into this. They've been doing this for years, way before the pandemic. And you work with a cohort of students, teachers all over the world that are learning mindfulness to bring back to their kids, whether in their homes or in their schools. So they presented every day at this symposium, and they started playing these mindful games with us. And I realized that mindfulness training and theater training, which is my background. I went to New York University and studied theater, and worked at New Conservatory Theater in San Francisco as their conservatory director for about 20 years. I did a lot of acting with them, a lot of directing, quite a bit of producing, and really was one of the loves of my life doing that. And but I realized that theater training and mindfulness training were very, very similar. They both invite the participants to be present. And we do that by connecting with our breath. We connect with our bodies, we connect with our hearts, we connect with our minds, we connect with the other people around us, we listen intently, we just are trying to be as present as possible so that we can, really be in the moment. And that's what theater is, and that's what mindfulness is. On stage, you don't want to be thinking about what's for dinner after the show, or that there's a reviewer in the audience, or your mother's in the audience, or whatever. You really have to be hyper focused to really do the job well. So I really got excited by that, and I dove into the Mindful Schools curriculum. And probably sooner than I would have liked, a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm working with all these teachers. Why don't I just tell them that you've learned these mindfulness skills? And would there be anyone interested in having you come on board for a half an hour a week?" So she told them, and lo and behold, I was working with two transitional kindergarten classes. That means kids that aren't quite 5 years old at the beginning of the school year. So they were very, very young. And so that went pretty well. And then after about 6 months of going into the classroom twice a week, which isn't what we're asking you to do, we're asking you to go in once a week, same kids, for a half an hour, once a week. So I did it twice a week and ran out of curriculum. And if I were smarter, I would have just said, I'll just go back and start from the beginning. These are 4-year-olds. They're not going to remember much of what I taught them anyway. But I didn't. I started playing theater games with them. I started looking for stories that I thought would be interesting, mindful stories. So I went up to Spirit Rock and looked around their bookstore, and they really didn't have anything. There was one that I thought, all right, let's try this. But I read it to the kids, and they really didn't like it at all. So I decided to go home, because I had a theater background, and I've written some plays in my time. And I decided to write some manuscripts. And like 2 hours later, I had written 4 manuscripts, and 2 of them we're going to be working with tonight. And I got a publisher that summer, and yada, yada. So now I have 4 published books out there in the world, and we're going to be working with them in just a little bit. All right, so that's basically how this program started, and the framework for what we're going to be doing. We're using theater, we're using storytelling, and we're using art activities to convey the principles of mindfulness. If you have a strong yoga background and you want to do more yoga with the kids, go for it. If you have a strong arts background, I love, who was it? Where is she? Where is she? She was talking about crafting. Maybe she's not here. Who was crafting on Pinterest? Did they disappear? think they disappeared. Oh, well. Anyway, so she's probably with the nurse. So yeah, so if you have craft ideas that you think would be mindful, if you want to do more mindful eating than the curriculum talks about, do that. Really, this is certainly not some sort of, mathematical equation that at the end you get this certain amount of mindfulness. I really want you to take this curriculum and make it your own, have fun with it. Don't feel like you're handcuffed to it at all. If you don't like a lesson, skip it. Maybe you'll come back to it later, maybe you won't. Really, it's just, just keep reminding kids that they have the power to take a pause, take a breath, so that they can make smarter choices. That's really, that's what I've distilled it down to over the years, is it's stopping, taking that breath so we can be skillful. All right, so here is the curriculum that you're gonna get. That's in your goodie bag. When you're placed, finally, you'll get a very nice tote bag that's actually it's embroidered. Has multicolored lettering. This is the first one. We decided to splurge on the second and third rounds, and in that are a bunch of goodies for you to use with your kids. One of the things is called a mini Hoberman sphere, and they love this. And we'll work with this in a little bit, and you can have all sorts of fun with it. And what else comes in there? You saw it earlier. This is Puppy Mind. This is the first book I wrote with Parallax Press, founded by Thich Nhat Hanh. And then The Lion in Me, which is about anger and how to name and tame your inner beast. You'll get a sort of a little binder that'll have a roster of how to put their names down. I'm going to go over this just real quickly with you. So you have a lesson plan, you have your goals and your notes, and you have the student's name, and then you have a little puppy, and then you have a bell. And what I do is I write down the students' names, and then I just track who is the leader of the class and who gets to ring the bell, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And then who gets the puppy. And since Puppy Mind is such a big element of the curriculum, I went out and I bought a very cute puppy. And you can get, sometimes Walgreens has puppies, especially with Valentine's Day coming up, you could probably find a puppy. Basically, they're the puppy sitters. So they are given the puppy, and they just want to have the puppy sleep on their lap for the whole class. If the puppy's up on their shoulder, on their head, or they're letting their neighbor play with it, I know that their puppy mind has taken over. So I'll say, oops, look what's happening. Your puppy mind has taken over. Let the puppy go back to sleep. No big deal. I don't try to, shame them or anything. I just am playful with it, and they realize that their puppy mind has taken over, and they put it back down. So go out and get yourself a puppy. I approve of that. And then what you'll get is a puppy paw print stamp. And at the end of every class, I give them a puppy paw print, not so much as a reward for good behavior or anything like that. It's a reminder to take slow, deep breaths throughout their day. And they love it. They are so excited. Sometimes they beg for two, and I give them two. But usually it's the puppy sitter and the leader of the class that get two as sort of a special reward. And I can't tell you how thrilled they are to get this puppy paw print stamp. It's adorable. And then one thing we don't supply is a singing bowl. A couple things to know about a singing bowl is I like a bigger one for a better sound. And also I like a rubber tipped dowel, or you can put cloth on it, or you can put rubber bands around it, because otherwise, let's see if it makes a tinny sound. See, it's not that pleasing of a sound if I use the wood. It's like, it's not pleasant. But if I do it with the rubber, It's a much rounder sound and more pleasing to the body and the ears and the heart and the mind. Oh, is that okay? Was that Atticus? Cool. What else do I have in there? So then you'll get these breathing cards, and these are things I came up with. Some I stole, some I made up, some I had the kids help me with, and it's basically 50 different ways to breathe. Elevator breathing. This is Spidey breathing. This is quiet. What is that? Yeah, quiet coyote breathing. Balloon breathing, shark breathing, all sorts of ways to breathe. And this you could do for one class. It's not the curriculum necessarily, but you could just have one kid come up and pick a card, and you learn how to breathe that particular day. This is the growing tree breath. So you can have lots of fun with these. You could just do this for a lesson, no big deal. Sometimes I will just do a drawing lesson. Like for the holidays, I said, let's just draw a wintry wonderland. And I brought in a copy of something that I found online. Here it is right here. And then they sort of embellished it with Santas or reindeer or snowmen or whatever they felt like doing. And then they gave it as a holiday card to someone that they loved. So sometimes I just do whatever I want. So anything is mindful. As we know, we can have mindful conversations. We can have mindless conversations. Anything is mindful if we just put that lens on it. So, all right. So now we're going to get into the lessons. Any questions or comments? Okay. All right.
Sorry, good suggestions about where to get one of the bowls.
Thank you. So there's any sort of Tibet shop. The Castro has two that I can think of. There's one across from Molly Stone on 18th, and there's one on Castro Street itself, like 2 doors up from a pizza parlor, right on the block of the Bank of America, like 18th and Castro. So I'm guessing, you can also go online. Certainly go online. But again, try not to get a small bowl, but if it makes a lovely sound, then go for it. Is this worth telling? I guess it is. So I like to give kids a little bit of a tutorial on the bell. If you hold it like this, nothing happens. If you have it next to your if it's sitting on top of clothing, it also doesn't make a great sound or less of a sound. If your thumb is there, it doesn't resonate as long. So really just create a flat hand. And if you're working with really little kids, like I don't think you're going to be working with pre-K, sometimes I'll just hold the bell and then they'll hold the dowel and then they hit it. So just keep thinking, oh, well, that didn't work. Well, don't just let that be your last thought. Think about, okay, what can we do differently next time? Because each class—
Can I just say,
yeah.
There are two very good stores in Chinatown on Grant between California and Sacramento that have a wide variety of very good singing bowls, nice. Different sizes, different.
Love it.
Sounds.
Love it. Yeah, fantastic. All right, here we go. And this is going to feel like a lot, and you are going to feel overwhelmed at times. I'd love this if this were like a 2-day retreat up in Sonoma and we just all got to know each other. Doesn't that sound fabulous? But no, it's not that way. And suffering is wishing something were other than it is. So here we go. All right. So first lesson is introductions and breathing. And at the beginning is something called the mindful superhero stretch. And it can be anything you want. I've actually put it on my YouTube channel and it's about 10 minutes long. But the mindful superhero stretch can be, I'll make it up right now. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Good. Wiggle your fingers. And I want you to just fly up like this to the moon. And I want you to tickle the clouds. And I want you to breathe in. And as you breathe out, I want you to swoop to one side. So let's all go this way. Breathe out. Good. And breathe in again. And tickle the clouds, and then breathe out. Good. And then breathe in again. And tickle the clouds one last time. And then on a count of 10, I want you to slowly bring your arms down to your sides. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, hold, hold. Breathe. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. And 7, 8, 9, 10. And roll your shoulders. Good. And roll them the other way. Good. Excellent. So you could do something as simple as that. You'll see, since we're doing it in little squares here, it's not as elaborate, but eventually I like to sit them down on the carpet, crisscross applesauce, or pretzel style is another way of saying it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do Spidey breathing. And what I often do with that particular one, this is Spidey breathing. If you can all do this. Let me see. Good. And just flip it over like that. And basically, put these on your knees. And we're going to just breathe. I'm going to just show you what I'm doing. You're going to breathe like this. When you breathe in, your hands go flat. And when you breathe out, your fingers come in. So breathe in. And we breathe out. And we breathe in. And we breathe out. And during the introduction, I like to just go around the room and find out what their favorite superhero is, or what their favorite superpower is, just as a way to, one, get them ready to do the superhero stretch and to think about mindfulness as a superpower, and also just get their imaginations going and let them know that this is a playful time. Mindfulness is not some sort of stoic experience. It's about being fully present in your own life, with all the joys and all the sorrows, all 10,000 of them, and just riding the waves more easily. So, because as we know, we can't stop the waves. They're always going to come. No matter what we do, stuff happens, and we just have to not make it worse. So we do the belly breathing, and then I'll show you what we do for that. So after we've done our Spidey breathing, we put our hands on our belly buttons and just see if you can let your belly get big when you breathe in. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. A lot of the work that I do lately is around the breath, because I found a lot of the kids that cannot self-regulate take shallow breaths, and they chest breathe as well. They do a lot of this. So what I do to help them with that is a couple things, and we'll start with this. So this is that Hoberman sphere I shared with you earlier. And I'll have them put their fingers together like this. And if you would, please do the same. I invite you to do that. And then just open your hands like this and breathe out while I do this. So you breathe in and you breathe out and you breathe in and you breathe out. And what you can do is have them all sit in a circle and just pass the Hoberman sphere to your neighbor. And what I like to do is have that person breathe with you 1 or 2 times. And then they get to breathe 2 or 3 times on their own, depending on the size of the circle. If it's a big class, I would say, maybe breathe once with your partner, and then you get to breathe twice on your own, and then have it go all the way around the circle. And there might be some fidgetiness, so that's okay. This can be a nice opportunity to talk about how, boredom will show up. So in order to, if you don't want to be bored, you can just breathe with that person every time someone's breathing in the circle, and just connect with the moment that way. So that begins the process of teaching them how to rely on belly breathing as a way to focus their minds and their bodies. Another thing to do is with the singing bowl, have a volunteer lay down in the circle, and I do it first. I lay down in the circle and I put this on my belly button, and I try to raise my belly with my every in-breath and let my belly fall with every out-breath. And what's really interesting is some of the kids will not be able to do it at first, and there'll be one or two kids who still don't quite have the hang of it at the end of the session. And I really encourage you to really lean into breath work, because if the body isn't getting enough oxygen, it's not going to operate efficiently. You know, they talk about kids in the womb not getting enough oxygen, and that's why they have all sorts of ailments. And if the brain is, you know, plastic, as they call it, neuroplasticity, imagine that the brain can continue to develop in really amazing ways if it's getting enough oxygen. So I highly recommend that. And then what's next? So we do the breathing ball, and then we do focus time with our super hearing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ring the singing bowl, and I just want you, and it'll vary depending on your connection, your computer connection, your internet connection, but I'm going to ring this bell, and I just want you to close your eyes, and when the sound is completely gone, I just want you to quietly raise your hand like this. Okay, so let's try it. So I'm going to ring the bell in a moment, but please find your mindful posture or bodies. And that means to me sitting up nice and tall like a superhero with a tall back and a relaxed belly. Good. Now please allow your eyes to close if that feels okay. And you never want to force kids to close their eyes. They can just look down at their socks or their ankles. Now let's take 3 slow mindful breaths, breathing in 1 and breathing out. Relaxing your shoulders, breathing in again. Wiggling your toes. Breathing in 3. Checking your jaw, is it relaxed or tense? And just listen for the very end of the sound of the bell and quietly raise your hand when it's completely silent. Great. And you can see some internet connections are better than others. So that's why a lot of hands went up right away. But the bell, of course, was still ringing over here. But so yeah, that's a great way for the kids to realize that they can hear a lot more than they think they can. And you can really have fun with that. Like, can you hear the kids out on the playground? Can you hear the heater in the ceiling? Can you hear your own breath? Can you hear your own heartbeat? You can really get creative with what they can hear. All right, so then I give them a mindful challenge and I say, practice remembering to take belly breaths throughout your day. And you can ask them, when do you think you could take a belly breath? Maybe after lunch or before lunch, waiting for lunch, waiting to take your turn. They can come up with lots of different times where they might want to take a belly breath. All right, so let's see. All right, so the next thing we do is puppy mind. And first we do a mindful check-in, like I said. And I'll just read this. It's sort of a script, what you're looking at, and you can highlight it. You can do whatever you want. You'll get this book, like I said, and you can, underline stuff, whatever you want to. Okay. Hey, everyone. Does everyone remember my name? Yes, it's Mr. Andrew. Good. Does anyone remember what I'm here to teach? Mindfulness. That's right. Mindfulness is the practice of using our breath to train our minds and our bodies to be more focused. Remember, mindfulness is breathtaking. Say that with me. Mindfulness is breathtaking. Remembering to take slow, deep breaths throughout our day so we can make smart choices. Last time we learned how to mindfully breathe into our bellies. Did anyone remember to take a big belly breath since the last class? Great. When? Today we're going to learn about our puppy minds. Remember, mindfulness helps us have control over our mind and body. We can make smart choices. And we're going to learn how to train our minds almost like we would train a puppy. Our mind likes to wander. So it's our job as the owner of our puppy minds to gently teach our mind how to stay in the moment instead of thinking about the past or the future. So I have a story to read to you that will help us learn about our puppy minds. But before I read it to you, I want you to ask you, where does your mind go without your permission? What happy place does your mind go to? And I'll just call on a few people. Think about, where does your mind go without your permission? What do you like to daydream about is another way of thinking about it. Let's see. How about Caitlin? What happy place do you like to daydream about? Oh, I can't hear you. It went away. And some connectivity issue with Caitlin. Interesting. Well, let me call on someone else. Mary.
Floating in the ocean.
Perfect. Excellent. How about Tony?
Sitting around a campfire.
Nice. How about, oh my gosh, Sophia?
Food and what I'm going to cook for dinner.
Excellent. So that's a future thought, isn't it? Yeah, excellent. All right. So let me get right to the book, and I'll just give you kind of a sampling of what I do with each page. And I'll even start with this one. This is before the story even starts. So look at this. Our boy is at his desk doing something. And then I usually ask the kids, what do you think he might be doing? And they'll say homework or writing or drawing or something, taking a test. All right, let's begin. To your puppy mind, please be kind. My mind is like a puppy. It likes to wander and explore. And if you haven't put me on widescreen, go up to view and then click on speaker view. You'll be able to see this book better. Good. Let's see. Russell, can you name the 3 things that the puppy is doing?
Watching, sniffing, and digging.
Perfect. Okay, fantastic. I want you guys to remember that for later. If I don't watch it carefully, my puppy mind goes through any open door. So let's see, who's got a wide, Alexander, do you have a wide screen right now? Good. Can you tell me, what's he learning how to do in this doorway?
Looks like he's walking.
Yeah, learning how to walk. What's he learning how to do in the orange doorway?
Biking.
Yeah, and what's he remembering in the pink doorway?
Learning how to make friends.
Yes. Oh, very good. I like that. And what's he doing in the yellow doorway? What's he hoping?
Running a race.
Yeah. And what's he hoping to get in the purple one?
Oh, what's that red motorcycle?
That's right. And then what's that funny outfit?
A cap and gown.
That's right. Graduating. Maybe he's graduating to 8th grade or something. So if you had to guess, let's say Jennifer B., which page is the past and which page is the future?
I would say the past is the page on the left, the future is the page on the right.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's all take a breath together and turn the page. When my puppy mind is bored, it runs to the future and the past. If I'm not really careful, it will take me far away super fast. My puppy mind can dig up memories, like when I got yelled at for not sharing my things. Monica, How are some of those kids feeling? Can you give me some emotions that those kids might be feeling?
Surprised, worried, scared.
Yeah. And can you imitate the teacher? Actually, can everyone imitate the teacher in the background? Right, good. All right, let's remember that. Let's remember that. Oh, my mind scampers to the future or runs to the future, and I don't always like the pictures that it brings. Let me see, Barbara, what do you see in these pictures? I kind of think of this as the page of worries. What is he worried about?
Oh, wow, that really resonates with me. So I think leaving school or not being able to go back to school,
Okay.
maybe worrying about not winning the race,
Yeah.
and also moving out.
That's right. Yeah. And could be an opportunity to say, how many of you have ever lived in more than one house, and you could all raise your hands, and because it's very common to move. So good. All right, let's take a breath. In class, I try to listen to the teacher, but my puppy mind starts to stir. I quickly lose my focus and the day becomes a blur. Val, who's the boy looking at? He's not looking at the teacher, is he?
No, he's just thinking
Yeah.
either past or future, or daydreaming.
Yeah, maybe he's even looking at the puppy saying, hey, let's go to the past. Let's go to the future.
Mm.
Good. All right, let's take a breath. I get mad at my puppy mind. Oh, who does this remind us of?
Teacher.
The teacher, exactly. Why don't you just sit and stay? Wow, does that make our puppy mind feel very good? No. Tony, can you tell me, how do you know our puppy doesn't feel very good? Can you describe some things that you see?
Yeah, the puppy's shaking.
Yeah.
Eyes are kind of big and scared.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Is his tail up or down?
Oh yeah, down between the legs.
Yeah. Are his ears up or down?
Down. Yeah.
Does he look big or small right now?
Small.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's take a breath. When I yell, my puppy mind gets scared and hides or runs away. My puppy mind only heals or stays if I take 3 slow, deep breaths. If I do it often enough, I feel calmer in my chest. Look at that. They're both so calm, aren't they? Good. And by the way, heel, for those of you who don't have dogs, is when your dog heels to your heel, the heel of your foot. So that's where that word comes from. Taking 3, oh no, what does it say? Yes, taking 3 slow, deep breaths is the best way to train my puppy mind. I am learning to be my mind's best friend. It responds best when I am kind, right? We all know not to yell at ourselves. It doesn't feel very good to be yelled at. So whenever I feel my puppy mind tugging at my sleeve, I try to remember to, anyone want to guess what rhymes with sleeve? Jump out to, yes, there it is. Monica did it. To breathe and breathe and breathe. And look at that. The puppy, his puppy mind is asleep next to him. And our boy is able to go back to his work once he calms his mind too, or himself. If I practice breathing every day and remember to be kind, I will have more fun being with my best friend, my playful puppy mind. Hey, Russell, can you tell me, what were the 3 things that you saw at the beginning of the book that the puppy was fascinated by?
What he could smell, what he could see.
Yeah.
And I forget the third one.
So there was a tree, there was a fire hydrant, and there was the sand. Is he interested in any of those things now? No. Who's he looking at?
The puppy?
Yeah, who's the puppy looking at?
His boy, the boy.
That's right, exactly. Who's the boy looking at?
The puppy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're working as a team now, right? Because we don't want to lose our puppy mind, right? it's our imagination, right? It's that ability to go to the beach, to be in the ocean, to be in our refrigerator whenever we want. So we never want to get rid of it. We just don't want it running the show. So it's very important to really honor that puppy mind, but just know that it's very playful and wants to pull you away from the present moment. So very important. So then, so that's in the book as well as a text. And then we ask them questions like, in the story, how did the child, let me ask someone, Caitlin, I can't ask Caitlin because of her, Jeff, how about you? In the story, how did the child train their puppy mind to stay in the present instead of wandering off to the future or the past?
Breathing.
Very good. That's right. And are we supposed to be mean to our puppy minds, Jeff?
No, we're supposed to be kind.
Oh, okay. Good.
Good.
Wow, he almost said yes. Thank you for coming, Jeff. Okay. All right. So I've known Jeff a long time, so I can play with him. All right. So then we're going to do focus time again. And actually, I think we're going to skip it because we've already done focus time. Yeah, I want to skip it because we don't have a lot of time. So I give them a mindful challenge, which is to practice noticing your puppy mind. And just notice if your thoughts wander a lot or a little. Does your mind go to the future or the past? Or both? And see if you can use your breath to bring your puppy mind back into focus, back into the present. So the next time I'm here, I'm going to see who remembered to practice. So I give them a puppy mind handout, which is right here in the book. And it's one of those connect the dots things. And they can do this on their own, or you know what I would do actually is just the next week, bring it back, and they can do it in class while you're there after you practice focus time. So that's something to consider as well. And you can use the copiers at the school, no big deal, just ask the secretary. And you can they can color it in whatever they want. It can be purple, it can be red, it can whatever they want. And at the very bottom, it says, when my puppy mind starts to wander, I take a deep breath. All right. So then we go into lesson 3, which is the mindful poem and the puppy mind game. And we do a check-in, and often we can do a thumb check-in. So let's do it right now. Put up your thumb like this, and I'll just say, I want you to check in with your body. How's your body feeling right now? Oh, thank you, Sophia. That's nice. Wow, graphics. And we're just gonna find out how your body's feeling, not your mind, not your heart, just your body. So my body's feeling good today, thankfully. Yeah, we'll be right there. Good. Now let's check in with our hearts. How are you feeling? How's your emotions? I'm feeling good. I love teaching this stuff. I love being with all of you. And then let's check in with our minds. How's our minds? I'm going to say my mind's like this, since I'm trying to think of all these things to tell you and to be thorough. So yeah, so it can vary depending on, it can vary depending on Russell's all over the map. That's great. Yeah, and sometimes that happens, right? Good. All right, so then we go into the mindful poem and the puppy mind game. And this mindful poem is something I do after we do focus time with the bell. And so if you would put up your hand like this, and this is called Take 5 breathing, or starfish breathing, or roller coaster breathing. And put your finger in between your thumb and your pointer finger. And we're just going to breathe in and breathe out all the way to your pinky. So breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. So that's the movement. Now we're going to add the words, the poem. And the poem goes like this. And you can repeat after me if you'd like. With this breath,
With this breath,
my mind grows stronger, so I can focus a little longer. I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. That's what focus time is all about. So that's a poem they all know. It's so sweet. They're thrilled to come up in front of the class and say that poem. They're desperate. Sometimes you have to say, guys, we can't do it. I got a story to read, or I got a game to play, or an art activity. So we can't have everyone do it. But next time for sure, we'll get to you. So that poem is super fun. There's actually another stanza, which truthfully, I don't do very much because it's just a lot of more words. And sometimes with the 4th and 5th graders, I kind of feel, brave and try to tackle that with them, but not often. Usually those first 2 stanzas are enough. And they get it in about 2 or 3 weeks often. And what I'll do is I'll just have each kid come up and I'll just whisper in their ear what to say. And then once they get that in their muscle memory, it really becomes a part of them, and they know the poem quite well, most of them. So it's pretty remarkable how young minds just soak up information. And then we play the puppy mind game. And this can also be broken up into different lessons. So you can do the poem one week and then puppy mind game the next. And the way puppy mind game works is you ask for 4 or 5 volunteers, depending on the size of the class, and you try to get through the whole class eventually. And you bring them up onto the stage, if you will. And it's the simplest thing. Either they sit in chairs, you can get 4 chairs in a row, and you just have them sit still for 1 whole minute. And you can, maybe get your alarm clock on your phone, and so they can watch the second hand or the numbers roll through, or you can have them face the wall clock in the classroom. And you just say, all right, I want you to see if you can sit completely still. So no itching or twitching. You can blink, of course, and you can breathe. In fact, that's encouraged. I want you to take slow belly breaths throughout the minute. And really just notice when you're feeling like you want to move, and see if you can be still anyway. Every kid usually wants to do it. I can't think of a kid who's never wanted to do it. And if you feel like it's sort of an advanced group, like maybe it's a 3rd grade group, or you don't have chairs, they can just stand. And you'll find that with each group that comes up, they'll get better and better and better at it, because they're watching each other and they want to, they kind of want to be the best. So it's super fun. And it's just a reminder that they can be still and focused whenever they want by using their breath. Sometimes I'll allow that they could do spidey breathing or breathing ball breath while they're there. That's also acceptable in my mind. So that's puppy mind games.
Andrew, excuse me, I've got to go. This is
Okay.
great, but I'll look forward to the rest.
Okay, yeah, you can listen to it on the recording.
I will.
Right.
Thank
All right.
you. Bye,
Be well,
everybody.
and take care.
Bye.
Good night.
All right, so then you give them a mindful challenge, which is to practice the poem, and you can give them a document, just make a copy of the mindful poem and give it to the teacher, and they can put it up on the wall, or they can work with the kids on their own. It's also a great meditation, like just do the mindful poem 3 times. Who's to say meditation has to be silent? It's basically a mantra. So you're just basically doing the poem, 3 times. If you're, if you're not in the classroom, the teacher can do that as their meditation, rather than leading them through a proper sit. Okay, good. And then also encourage them to practice stilling their puppy minds. And it's all in here as the script. All right, so then we get into lesson 4, which is what is your superpower? How to develop our 5 senses of sound, sight, smell, touch, and taste. And I should say at the beginning of each lesson is a really nice paragraph that gives you a sense of what we're trying to achieve in that lesson, so it can kind of be with you as you teach the kids. And then on at the beginning of every chapter 2, there's a list of goals, a reminder, and materials that you might need for the lesson. And again, I know this is a lot, so just trust that all you need to know is one lesson at a time. You're not trying to remember all of this, and you have ample opportunities to watch YouTube videos and this recording as well. Okay, so we do a mindful check-in, we review the previous lesson if there's time, and then we do focus time. And this is how focus time works with the bell. So let's say Jamie's the leader of the class this day. That's what the roster is telling me, that Jamie's going to come up. So Jamie comes up and she stands next to me, and she holds the singing bowl, and I whisper in her ear something like this: please find your mindful posture. So she says that to the entire group, and then they'll sit up nice and tall, and I'll probably say that. That's right, sit up nice and tall like your favorite superhero. And then I'll whisper in her ear, please allow your eyes to close. And then I'll also give the prompt that you can cover your eyes with your hands, because sometimes kids don't feel safe for various reasons. So putting your hands over your eyes is already makes you feel a little safer, more protected. Or you can just look at the floor, either at a point in front of you or at your ankles or your knees, depending on if they're sitting in chairs or on the floor. And then I'll say, please take a whisper in Jamie's ear, please take one slow mindful breath. So Jamie will say that, and then Jamie will ring the bell. And what I've been doing lately, which isn't in the book, is I've been going up to 10. So it's about a 2-minute sit, but it's very guided. So Jamie would ring the bell 10 times. So it would be something like this. Please just allow, breathing in 1, allowing your body to really relax. Breathing in 2, wiggling your toes just a little bit to check in with your body. Breathing in 3, filling up your belly with air or oxygen. Breathing in 4, checking in with your shoulders. Are they up or are they down? Are they relaxed or tense? Breathing in 5, checking in with your heart. Is it beating fast or slow? Just notice it. Breathing in 6, notice what sounds you can hear outside this room. Do you hear the kids playing on the playground or talking in the hallway? Maybe you hear the fan in the ceiling. Breathing in 7, breathing in through your nose. Do you feel the cold air going in and the warm air going out? Breathing in 8, checking in with your jaw and your face and your eyes. Are they relaxed or are they tense? Good. Breathing in 9, wiggling your toes again, just to check in. And lastly, bringing in 10. Listen for the end of the sound of the bell. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So something like that is fine. And then you could go right into the poem. Sometimes I'll say, and I'm going to keep my eyes closed, but Jamie's going to lead us through the poem. And it might be a call and response kind of activity. Good. All right. So then we get into a story called What is Your Superpower? And it's all about your five senses. And it goes something like this. What is your superpower? What is your superpower? Can you tell? What happened? Something. Oh, maybe we redid something. Now I hear an echo. Does everyone hear the? Interesting. What occurred? Siobhan, any ideas?
I think Nancy rejoined the group.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. If you wouldn't mind muting, that might be why.
Oh, that's it. There we go.
That was when it happened. Thank you. Thanks, Nancy.
Great. All right. So what is your superpower? Can you tell? One of mine is my sense of smell. When I breathe in, I feel my nostrils flare. I notice the sweet smells in the air. The whiff of waffles might greet my nose. I may sense the scent of a rose. What if you smell your clothes or your hands? Is there fragrance? Just smell your clothes or hand. Is there fragrance or is it bland? Now that I have shown you how, what pleasant smell can you smell right now? And they might say, I smell detergent, or I smell pizza because we had it for lunch, or whatever it is. And then we'll switch to another superpower. Or is this your superpower? How much can you really hear? Give it a try. There's nothing to fear. Use your super ears to go far away. Can you hear a car go on its way? How about a bird chattering away to a friend? What else can you hear around the bend? What other sounds can your ears meet? Can you hear your own heartbeat? Now that I have shown you how, what sounds can you hear right now? So this could be an opportunity to just be silent for a little bit and then just call on kids and ask them what they heard. Good job. Now perhaps this is your superpower. Perhaps it's your power of sight. What can you see with all your might? If you look far outside this room, what do you see with your telescopic zoom? Now look at something in this place. What do your super eyes notice in this space? Is there something cool that's really near that you have never noticed here? Now that I have shown you how, what's the brightest color you see right now? So you can stop and start at any one of those things and really inquire what they're seeing. So if you look at far outside this room, what do you see with your telescopic zoom? You could just do that particular one and they can tell you, oh, I see an airplane, I see clouds, I see a purple house, whatever it is. Good. And then you get the idea. So we go through all the senses and then let's see. So we could do more mindful listening if we wanted. And then we do another closing thoughts and mindful challenge. And basically it's practicing your five senses. So see if just by noticing, you can make your five senses grow stronger and notice even more. Use your breath to focus on what sense you want to experience. Maybe you can practice mindful listening at a park or with a friend, or mindful seeing while watching TV or a movie, or mindful eating when you have a snack or a meal. So then we often do a closing bell, and then I tell them what next time we're going to do, which is going to do focus time a little bit longer and try to train our puppy minds. And then the next thing we do is lesson 5, which is just stop and breathe. And that is basically focusing on our feelings, on our emotions. So this is going to be a little bit of a back and forth with you all. So here it goes. When I wake up, I can feel so lazy. My mind is in the thickest fog. I can act like the laziest dog. When I feel that way, I lose all curiosity and begin to do things very sloppily. To help me focus, I STOP, which stands for, and I'll show you this handy sign. It stands for, Val, can you read us what that stands for?
S, stop your body. T, try and breathe. O, observe your feelings. P, peacefully proceed.
Good. So everyone really study that for just a second. Say it to yourself. And then I'm going to call on you as we go through this story. Here we go. Okay. All right. To help me focus, I STOP, which stands for stop my body, try and breathe, observe my feelings so I can peacefully proceed. Then I feel a bit better. Sometimes I can get super silly, and you can ask them to make silly faces if you want. When I get silly, I forget to listen. I'm not aware of what I'm missing. I'm not really at my best. I cannot even hear a teacher's request. To help me calm down, I STOP. Let's see, who haven't I called on? How about Sophia? What does STOP stand for again? And if you need help, I'll help you.
Stop what I'm doing. Try and breathe.
Stop. Yeah, stop your
Body.
body. Yep.
Stop your body. Try and breathe. Observe my feelings so I can peacefully proceed.
Perfect. Very good. Excellent. Sometimes I get scared or shy, and then you can say, can I see scared or shy faces? When I get scared, when I get that way, I cannot think. My body almost seems to shrink. I feel like I cannot breathe. Sometimes I even want to leave. To help me find more courage, I STOP. And I bet you know what I do. Alina, can you remember what that is? What does STOP stand for?
Just came back from the break room. So
Okay.
sorry, I missed that part.
Monica, let's go with you then. Or Manuel, I'll go to Manuel next. Monica, how about you?
Stop my body.
Yep.
Try to breathe. Observe my feelings so I can peacefully proceed.
Beautiful. Sometimes I get mad. When I get mad, my face gets tight. My hands clench up like I want to fight. My stomach turns into one big knot. Sometimes I want to punch and yell a lot. But before I do, I STOP. Manuel, what does that stand for again?
Stands for stop my body.
Yep.
Trying to breathe.
Yep.
Observe my feelings.
Yep.
I can peacefully proceed.
Perfect. Excellent job. So you get the idea. It goes through a lot of different emotions. And then we can ask them questions if we have time. I asked them to list all the emotions that they experienced, which were happy, sad, angry, silly, bored, lazy, scared, and shy. And then I give them a mindful challenge. And then we actually are giving them gifts. We give them one of these to put in the classroom. And actually, we have a color version. So if you have a color printer at home, just ask Siobhan for one or ask me for one, and I'll get you that, or she'll get you that. And then we also give them in your goodie bag are these stop bookmarks, which say stop your body, try and breathe, observe your feelings, so that you can peacefully proceed. And one of the nice little logos or slogans that I like to say is, take a breath, practice makes progress, right? Because as we know, mindfulness is a practice. It's not a perfection. So they love that. And then we do a closing bell, give out the puppy paw prints, and the stop poster, and then we move on to the Lion Me, which is lesson 6. So we're moving along pretty well. 7 o'clock. Let's see what we can do. Timothy, I'm going to get to you next. I promise. I feel bad I'm not reaching all of you, but I can't get there yet. So this is the Lion Me, which we'll get to in just a second. And the Lion in Me is all about how to name and tame one of our biggest emotions. And of course, we know that's anger. So again, we do a mindful check-in. We review quickly the previous lesson, maybe quickly go over stop, what that means. We do focus time. I bring someone up. I give out the puppy to someone to babysit for the half hour. and then we get into story time. Today, we're going to learn about one of our biggest emotions. To do that, I have a story to read to you about a lion. All right, now let's take a deep breath so we can get focused. Good. Now this story, it teaches us how to name and tame that inner beast we all have. And it goes like this. And actually, before I even start, I kind of have fun with the cover. I say, can you name the 3 things that you see that are different about this boy? Let's see, Timothy, let's name 3 things that are different about this boy. What do you see?
He's got a tail.
Yeah, that's kind of different.
Maybe his shirt's different.
Well, what's this? What's your shadow look like?
Oh yeah, I don't have a lion shadow.
No, yeah, I didn't think so. What and this is very subtle, but look at his nose.
Oh, I think it kind of looks like a lion's nose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are the 3 things that nice little mindful activity before we even begin. Good. All right, let's start the story. May we all learn how to tame the lion within. I have a lion in me, but it's not a lion that I can see. Does anyone see a lion? I don't see a lion. Yeah. And then often I ask them, what are the things that are on the plate, on the tray, just as another mindful activity. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Courtney, what's happening here?
Looks like someone knocked into him and now his image is flying.
Yeah. And it's very important that the kids know that this is an accident, because otherwise there'd be a lot of restorative justice stuff. He and the girl would sit down, she would apologize, all of that stuff. But it just happened. So that could be another discussion as well as part of this book. But this book is really about the tyranny of anger. And I'll speak for myself as the author that anger is something that sneaks up on me, and suddenly I'm angry and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And then I say or do things that I regret. So it's a way to kind of tame that inner angst that shows up without my permission. Let's see. It starts in my stomach first. It feels like I might burst. Oh, do we see a lion now? Yeah, right. But it doesn't really look like a scary lion yet, does it? It looks like one of those pajamas you might get at like Target or something. When the lion starts to growl, I want to give the biggest howl. My fists start to clench and knot, and my face gets really hot. My body starts to tighten and tense, and I lose all my common sense. My heart starts to beat really fast. I never know how long it will last. Alexandra, can you name some things that tell us that he's getting really angry, that he's turning into a lion?
The tail's coming out, the teeth are coming out, the scowl in his eyes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, his ears are even getting hairy, and you can't really see that well from here, but yeah, lots of things are happening. Good. All right, let's take a breath. When the lion takes over my mind, I see red and am no longer kind. I want to scratch things with my claws. I want to tear things with my jaws. Oh my gosh. How are these kids feeling? Who haven't I called on yet? My goodness. Mary, how are these kids feeling? What do you see on their faces?
Terror.
Yeah, terror, worry, exactly. Yeah. Oh, look at him. He's talking to a teacher. Teacher seems kind. I wish I knew the lion's mane so I could grab it by its mane. The lion can get so very wild, acting like the meanest child. Betty feels terrible, huh? Yeah. I know when the lion rears its head, when my family wants me out of bed. But I don't see the lion. He's not. Oh, wait a minute. The lion is in the mirror, isn't it? Look at that. Oh my gosh. And sometimes the kids say, how come his brothers and sisters look so different? And I'll say, well, we all have, my sister has dark curly hair and dark skin. So just love makes the family. So keep going. Another time the lion gets in a huff, if someone tries to take my stuff, and if you can see, you can ask them where the lion is, and the lion is right there in the puddle. I think I know the lion's name. It's anger that I have to tame. When anger starts to growl and rage, I try to breathe and say behave. And look, he's actually doing that breathing ball breath we all do, right? Cool. And you can see the lion right there and there, but it doesn't look like a scary lion here either. It looks almost like a big cat. When I feel anger start to roar, I take a deep breath and count to 4. Anger can calm down that way, getting tamer every day. And often I'll ask the kids what's happening in these stories. And I'll just kind of go over it quickly. These kids are teasing him, right? And he's getting mad. You can even see a lion tail showing up. And even in his eye, you can see a lion showing up in his eyes. But before he gets really angry and he gives them all his power, he takes a breath. And they're like, what is he doing? He always gets frustrated whenever we tease him. And then look at that. They get frustrated and he is proud of himself for not getting taken over by his angry lion. Some other tricks when anger shows his face. I read my favorite book in a special place. So he's on a beanbag. There's some breathing balls that we use too, right? And there's puppy mind. How'd that happen? And then, or he can speak to an adult or take a walk. Maybe that's when he gets to talk to that girl, right? Which can make it easier to talk, right? Maybe he needs to talk to that girl. Say, I don't like that you tripped me accidentally. If I notice anger starting to attack, I stop, I breathe, and it shrinks back, right? Look at that. It's learning how to play well, learning how to work well with others. And look at that, he's taking a breath. I wonder if he's going to make a basket. Let's see what happens. Anger just passes right through me. I can tame it by naming it, and I feel free. And that angry lion has turned into a little lion cub up in the sky. And at the very end, the clouds, just like anger, have passed away. And he's made some friends and he's learned how to share. Excellent. Good. So that's the lion in me. And that's, like I said, all about naming and taming that inner beast that we all have. Not that anger is a bad emotion. That's not the point of the story. It's just that we don't want our emotions running the show. We want to be in charge of our emotions. Anger, as we all know, is a great emotion for all sorts of things, right? In a dark alley, for civil rights, but it needs to be focused anger, not unbridled anger where we're just not thinking, although that could be really helpful in a dark alley too, if someone's coming towards you and need to protect yourself. So it's just that tyranny of anger that I have experienced in my lifetime, where it just shows up when I don't want it to. All right, any questions about that book or lesson? Okay, good. Oh, Manuel, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. I see, for example, you will go with this book in one single class, or you will just do like parts of the book and then the rest of the class?
I've never done it in 2 lessons, but you could. Okay. You could certainly talk about it. This is a really important lesson to me, because what I love about this book is it says to us, it tells the kids that their bodies are giving them information all the time, and that we are feeling emotions 24 hours a day. Every second of the day, we are feeling an emotion, whether it's calm, whether it's bored, whether it's restless, whether it's curious, whatever it is. But we tend to only notice when we're the big stuff, like when we're elated or when we're furious. So what I love to do is play a game with them about noticing what anger feels like in the body, or for that matter, what any emotion feels like in the body. So we play a game, and that can be in this class or the following class, to speak to your point, Manuel. And it's called, What Are You Feeling? So in the back of the book is the game, and there is a sheet on there that has many different words, just one right after the other, and you use scissors to cut them out. And the kids come up one at a time. You pick one volunteer at a time, and the word might be frustrated. So the kid, pretends to be frustrated, and then I ask them these questions. I'll say, so they act it out, and then someone in the audience guesses frustrated or angry, and I'll say, okay, you're getting warmer, and then finally they say frustrated, and I say, fantastic. So then I check in with the actor and I say, all right, do you feel hot or cold when you're frustrated? And they'll say hot usually. I tend not to change their minds unless I think they're just trying to please me. But normally I just let them feel what they're feeling. So then I'll say, do you feel big or little when you're frustrated? And they might say little, or they might say big. Do you feel like your heart's beating fast or slow? Do you feel like your hands are tight or relaxed? Do you feel like your shoulders are up or down? Do you feel like your mind is busy or still? And so they do this whole body scan. And then at the end, I'll say, all right, now I want you to take a breath, and I want you to shake your shoulders, and I want you to wiggle your hands and wiggle your toes, because emotions tend to stick around. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but something terrible happened during the day, and you get home and you're a little irritated with someone, or you're driving, and because you had a fight at work, you're driving recklessly or something. So we want to really notice when we have big emotions, and then let them go, so that we can be more skillful. So that's a fun game to play with them. And that is not one of the traditional lessons. It's in the back of the book, but it's super fun. And I actually play it at least 2 or 3 times a year, because they love it so much. And I like to see them understand that emotions come with their own sense of sensations. And I just think that's really liberating to know, oh, wait a minute, my shoulders are up, my fists are clenched, I'm feeling hot. Something's happening inside me that I don't quite understand yet, but I'm going to take some breaths so I can think clearly, so I can make a smart choice. Okay. All right, so then we do a mindful challenge, which is about practicing noticing your feelings or your emotions. And then we'll do a closing bell. And then we go into find the pleasant in the present. Okay, so lesson 7, we're doing okay. I think might get to lesson 8 or 9, we'll see. I might skip 8. Okay, so finding the pleasant, we do, of course, focus time, all of that. And then we get into finding the pleasant in the present. And this is going to be interactive, so I'm going to call on quite a few of you. And it goes like this. Let's find the pleasant in the present. I am trying to notice the pleasant in the present. Throughout my day, happy thoughts just seem to fade away. I seem to notice most the things that are gross. I rarely see all the beauty that is in front of me. When I see something bad occur, the good turns into one big blur. I'm going to simply notice the bad and then hope to find I'm not so sad. So I want you to use your imagination with me to help see the pleasant. All right. So this is about changing that negativity bias we all have, that just bias that keeps us alive, basically. But we tend to drop into our negativity bias a lot more readily than our positivity bias. So this is about training the mind to look for the good. So I want you to use your imaginations right now to look really hard. And I want you to imagine that you're in a junkyard. What beauty can you see in this junkyard? What do you see? Can you tell me? So imagine you're in a junkyard. You can close your eyes, just look around and see what you can see that makes you smile. And then just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Yeah, Mari.
I see all kinds of old furniture and I think, wow, I can restore those.
I love it. Jeff, I saw your hand.
Yeah, a lot of colors, a lot of different beautiful colors.
Beautiful. Russell, I saw your hand.
I was going to say shiny colors from old cars.
I love it. Thank you. Monica. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of the sparkle of sunlight on metal.
Interesting. That's cool. Anyone else have any different? Yeah. Manuel?
Yeah, so I imagine all these cars that are compacted and they look like a big sculptures.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. You'll get all sorts of, this is the first time that's sort of been a theme. But you'll hear, you know, oh, I found a kitten, or I found a puddle to play in, or an old tire, or an old bike. You know, the kids will have all sorts of ideas. Good. All right, let's go to another place. How about, what if the day is cold and freezing? Can you find something that is sort of pleasing? So you're inside your house and it's freezing outside, but what are you gonna find that makes you smile? What are you gonna find? It's raining outside, it's cold. What are you gonna do? Something could just be something simple, something skillful. Yeah, Monica.
A cozy blanket.
Cozy blanket. I thought the same thing. How about you, Timothy? What came to mind for you?
Like hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Fantastic. Good. Yeah. Oh, Barbara, is that your hand?
I also thought about hot chocolate in a book.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Just make the most of it. Excellent. All right. How about in these darkened woods, in a dark forest? Can you help me see the good? What do you see? Can you tell me? How about you, Jamie? What do you see in a dark forest that's going to make you smile?
I see a lot of like big, tall, green trees that I just like to stare at the leaves. And
Nice. Good. How about you, Olina?
The moon.
The moon. Perfect.
The reflection of the moon.
Ah, that sounds great. Yeah, the kids will say, my teacher, Bambi, an apple, yeah, a witch's broom, you know, or whatever. I don't know. They come up with all sorts of things. A tunnel to some video game or something. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. What about in a traffic jam that lasts for a mile? What can you find that makes you smile? So you're sitting in the back of your mom or dad's car, or your parental unit's car. What do you see that makes you smile? How about you, Sophia?
Put on your favorite song.
Putting on your favorite song. Fabulous. How about you, Tony?
Oh, sorry, I was in the room with the nurse, but Siobhan, I do need to re-enter that room because I didn't finish.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put you back in there once Val is out.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that.
Did you get the prompt that you're in a traffic jam and you're going to look for something that makes you smile?
Oh, something the blue sky.
Perfect. Love it. Courtney, how about you?
Maybe the smile of a beautiful human in the car next door.
Okay, I love it. That's great. Yeah, and you'll see there'll be a puppy in the car next to you. There'll be birds flying. There'll be the Golden Gate Bridge, whatever it is. That's what you saw, Russell? Good. Okay, excellent. All right. So you get the idea. So there's like 20 of these. I usually do like 3. And you can always come back to this lesson. And then again, closing thoughts, mindful challenge, closing bell. And then the next story is Bunny Flips His Lid. And I like this story. And I have to say, I don't do it all the time. It's, I don't know. I just don't do it all the time, but I really like it. I wrote it, and it's all about sort of doing puppy it's all about doing bunny breathing and talking about the prefrontal cortex, or the what do they call it? The upstairs brain. This basically represents your amygdala right here, and then this is your prefrontal cortex. And then often when we get angry or have big emotions, we flip our lid, and that amygdala takes over. And what's cool about mindfulness, I don't know how many of you know this, but there's been studies that with a daily mindfulness practice, your amygdala actually shrinks, which is where your fight, flight, and freeze response comes from. And your amygdala actually thickens. So it may, or I'm sorry, and your prefrontal cortex thickens. So it's pretty exciting stuff. That's why mindfulness really helps, is because that initial desire or instinct to lose it actually lessens with a mindfulness practice. So that's Bunny Flips His Lid. It's all about a bunny with long ears, and he's constantly getting into trouble. And here's a picture of him. He's got really long ears, and yeah, it's kind of cute. But he learns how with a mindfulness practice to figure out how not to flip his lid. And then this is lesson 9, and we're doing pretty well. Okay. Lesson 9 is The Wise Man and the Two Wolves. And this is a story that a lot of you have heard of. It's a Native American story. And then I put my own rhyming spin on it, but it's basically the same story. And it's all about teaching kindness. And I think we'll finish off with this story. And here it goes. Today, we're going to focus on how to be more kind to ourselves and others. So who can tell me what kindness is? That's right. Kindness means being considerate and helpful to others, to treat people the way you would like to be treated. I have a story to read to you about kindness, and it's called The Wise Man and the Two Wolves. And it's about the care and feeding of kindness. The Wise Man and the Two Wolves. One evening, the wisest of men gathered together his children. And he said, "The battle of two wolves is inside us all, whether we are very big or very small. One wolf is angry, full of hate, meanness, rage, disgust, and laziness." And you can even pretend to have a mean wolf next to you. The other wolf is kind, full of joy, generosity, love, gratitude, and curiosity. And the children thought about it. And then one of them grinned, and he asked the grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The wise man simply replied, "The one we feed inside." The story is simple but true. There are two wolves in each of you. Our thoughts feed the wolves each and every day. Which wolf will you feed, and in what way? Every moment we can choose to feed our kind wolf with positivity, or feed our mean wolf with lots of negativity. So the question to ask ourselves every day is, which wolf am I going to feed today? So then I say that they're good listeners and yada, yada. And now we're going to play a game to find out when we are feeding our kind wolf. Now this is important. Kind wolf and mean wolf are really important rather than good and bad, because we just don't want to label parts of ourselves are good or bad, but I think we can label them as kind and mean. So just keep that in mind. If a kid says good or bad, just gently rephrase it. All right, so I'm going to call on Jamie Wong, and I'm going to ask you, are you feeding your kind wolf or your mean wolf when you brush your teeth?
Kind wolf.
Very good. And I'm going to ask Mari, are you feeding your kind wolf or your mean wolf when we break the rules?
Mean wolf.
That's right. And let's see, are you feeding your kind wolf, Courtney, when you're helpful to your teacher? What are you feeding?
The kind wolf.
Good, good. So you get the idea. And some of the kids will actually come up with ideas of when they're feeding a kind wolf or a mean wolf, and they might whisper it in your ear, or they might say it out loud to the kids. So that can be really fun. And then we just do another mindful challenge. Notice when you do something nice for someone or yourself, and then we do a closing bell. And then we just let them know what next time we're going to do, and we're going to ask who remembered to practice noticing when they were kind to someone else or when they were kind to themselves. Lesson 10 is a beautiful story. It's an African folktale about a mouse or a rat and a hunter, and how the rat eventually saves the hunter's life. And it's all about how we don't have to be big to be kind. We can be little and be kind. And then lesson 11 is basically a mindful midterm, and we ask them questions about what we've learned, like, please be kind to your puppy, what? And then they say mind. Really simple things that they all should get. And if you haven't brought up that particular question, just skip it. So that is going up to lesson 11. It's a lot of information. I know your mind is probably going wong, 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 and that is perfect. That means you're listening and you're human. And, you know, I would say that I would be nervous too, taking on, you know, a classroom, which is what you're doing. But just know that I wasn't certain I actually wanted to go back to teach because of the masks and everything. And I had, you know, been doing virtual teaching with the kids, of course, working with all the kids in the school. That's I didn't tell you that. I actually work with an entire school population, 300 kids. And I just was like, God, I don't know if I sort of want to start over because of the pandemic, you know, who knows what they were hearing on Zoom and if they were just tuning me out. But I walked into the school and the security guard said, hey, Mr. Andrew, you're not going to believe the kids this year. We have had so few kids going to the office. They just seem to want to be here. They're much more focused. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. Maybe that was your experience, but I'm going to just, you know, see how this goes. And he was right. The whole day was amazing. The second time was amazing. The third times was even better. And it just got better and better and better. And I finally had a conversation with the social worker, and I said, I see a huge difference in these kids after 5 years, because I worked with these kids from pre-K and now they're, you know, in fourth grade. And she said, I really think it's all the social emotional learning that we're all trying to do. And she, you know, I'm just going to be frank. She said, and I think the mindfulness work that you're doing with the kids is really helping them self-regulate, be kinder to each other, be kinder to themselves. And one of the teachers, when I first started working with her, who I'm still working with, she still teaches TK, said, I really think you're teaching kids that's going to change the trajectory of their lives. And my husband actually works in San Quentin prison in their restorative justice circles that they do with the inmates. And the guys say over and over again, the one thing they wish they had learned in school was learning how to self-regulate, to understand their emotional landscapes, because we all know that people often just don't do bad things for the heck of it. You know, it's because of trauma. It's because of who you're hanging around with. It's because of your inability to deal with the tyranny of your own anger. And underneath that anger is grief and sadness and loss and all of it. So this is the call to action, is you all are going to be helping these kids learn how to understand their emotional landscape so that they can make smart choices, that they can learn how to take those belly breaths before they do anything. So it's a really powerful thing you're about to do. And I would just, you know, being brave is about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. If you're feeling like you know, I really don't feel like I want to teach a class by myself. Siobhan might be able to pair you up with someone if you've come to this training with a friend, or you know another volunteer who's already doing it. You could be their teaching assistant. You could co-teach. You can come see me. I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays, especially like around noon. There's a TK class and a second grade class you could watch. But we can also figure out other times for you to come as well. There's other volunteers in the schools that you can go watch that might be nearer to you. I'm way out in the Bayview, so it's a little longer of a commitment. Yeah, so there's lots of ways to sort of figure out how can you do this